Kim Hudlow had done more than her due diligence before her husband David began the proposed blood filtering treatment for his cancer. She constantly called the doctors, Dr. Sonia Ilick, Dr. Joey John, and Mr. John Preston, a board member for Xterra, one of the companies responsible for the blood filtering treatment process. Many of the calls she has recorded because she didn't want to miss a single detail of her husband's treatment plan.
I didn't want to forget anything. And so I record so that I could go back and remember and replay. But as time went on and I would go back and listen to these conversations, it became more and more apparent that everything wasn't on the up and up.
The Hudlows first arrived in Antigua for treatment in February of 2024.
We stopped chemo. We wanted his immune system to be as strong as it possibly could be for the filtering. And we paid our $45,000 and we got on a plane and we went to Antigua the first time in February. And when I went there, it was a very small medical clinic that there were things in place that I didn't like.
The blood filtering process then began.
3 filters in a week. Each filtering session took 4 to 6 hours of him being hooked up. When he came home in between the first and the second filter, clinically, David was declining. And I wanted to believe that it was because the cancer was dying. I wanted to believe what the doctors were telling me. But he was definitely declining. And he was sicker.
The couple and other patients believed even if the treatment did not shrink the tumor, if it didn't work, at least filtering the blood would be a benefit, a practice widely accepted as a treatment for COVID-19 and improved immune function.
What could go wrong? What could happen? A lot could happen. A lot could happen. And it did.
All Hudlow wanted was a better quality of life for her best friend.
Even just getting rid of the pain and being able to manage it was something that we were willing to risk it for. There was a woman who had had pancreatic cancer over and over. The people from Quadrant and the people from Xterra kept telling us about her. And immediately she threw away all of her pain pills and was able to do away with it. David dealt with pain every day of his life, excruciating pain. And so off we went. And, he struggled. The first 3 filters, they weren't easy. It wasn't easy. His pain didn't go away.
Doctors involved told the Hudlows that the pain was normal.
Tom Pontius, the president of Quadrant, was in the picture. Dr. Joey John, who ran the clinic, they were all in the picture by this point. It was normal because you feel sicker when your tumors are dying.
Quadrant is the company that owns the clinic in Antigua. Hudlow knew there are negative side effects with chemotherapy when the cancer is dying. She says she thought the explanation made sense, and she wasn't alone. A total of 20 patients were treated in Antigua. At least 6 have died since their treatments, and Hudlow says she knows of several patients whose health declined after going through with the procedures.
7. Maybe 8. 3 have died, along with my husband. None that I know of, none did better. They would all tell you, the ones that I know that I've had conversations with, that their health fared worse and that they got worse after.
Hudlow says she doesn't regret researching every possible lead that could help her husband.
But when you're stage 4, and you've exhausted everything that you could possibly think of as standard of care, and you love that person so much, you would do anything. You would do anything to make them feel better.
To validate the treatment process, Dr. Sonia Ilick shared stories with Hudlow about a patient whose metastasis had shrunk by 60%. Hudlow recorded those phone calls. The New York Times reports Quadrant and Xterra are no longer in partnership and that Xterra had parted ways with Dr. Ilick, and Mr. Preston was asked to leave the company's board. After the New York Times article came out Thursday morning, Hudlow says she learned about far more fabricated information about the entire medical operation.
I didn't know about the nurse that went there and made an excuse to leave and go home because of what she saw. I certainly didn't know about the insider doctor, Dr. Chow, knowing and leaving and writing letters and stating basically what they were doing was human experimentation. I didn't know that other people felt that Dr. Sonia was not an honest person.
The nightmare continued when Hudlow was trying to get her husband off the island, not knowing he only had a few days left to live. With his rapidly declining condition, he needed an oxygen tank, but no commercial airline would allow the tanks on board. Hudlow turned to private jet companies, finally chartering a plane that would fly them to Miami. She was able to get David to the Mayo Clinic in Jacksonville, where they immediately triaged him and began talking do not resuscitate orders. David was able to spend his last couple of days with lots of family and friends before taking his last breaths on April 18, 2024. Hudlow wants to create awareness and hopes those involved are held accountable.
And I feel that there are people that need to be criminally charged in this, especially people that blatantly lie to patients that are at the end of their life when they know what they're telling is not true for a financial gain.
In Panama City, Grace Velez, News 13, Panhandle Strong.